And we're back. The Unqualified Podcast, I think it's episode 6. We just went through this.
We believe.
Yeah, we're back. I know it's been a little bit. I don't know if anyone cares, but I don't know. We just, I just stopped doing it pretty much. Just kind of got, not bored with it, but needed a little motivation, a little kick to start it up again. So take a couple of weeks off, focus on different things in life, and then come back to it. So we're back. Episode 6. Yeah, I don't have too much going on in our lives. Life's good, though, for me at least.
Yeah, it is. Still able to go to the gym and work, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, you don't have too much in life. Just simple people.
It's a simple life.
Yeah. But one thing I've been trying to do is, I don't know if you've been doing this, but I try to read more. I mean, I know you read comic books and everything.
Okay, hold on. We'll come back to that, but go ahead.
Okay. But I used to read, I don't know, just the classic, like Jack Reacher, stuff like that, but I couldn't find any good books. So I started actually reading, not the self-help books, but, books to improve yourself. And they're awesome. It's so, fulfilling almost to, read one of those and then, get actual tools out of it and then, apply it to life. But the trick is actually picking up the book because there's a thing called a phone makes life hard.
It
makes
does.
it really hard.
No, I got my own. I don't know if you've seen me reading it, but I have my own book, and it's called Legacy, and it's most of my books are either rugby related or comic books. It's about the important things in life. Yeah. But this one's called Legacy, and it's a world renowned rugby book because it goes into, surprise surprise, the All Blacks, way their team is and what we can take out of their atmosphere and how can be applied to life. And there's some, I've been picking it up when I can. And obviously, like you said, it's very difficult sometimes when you have a phone. But it's been about just trying to get the most out of it.
The hardest part for me has been, reading more than 5 pages.
Yeah, sometimes
I'll start the book, but then I'm like, oh, but, the end of the chapter's here. And, I could pick up my phone instead, and life's better there. So it's a pain in the ass, man.
Yeah. Well, the problem I find is I like to read. When I read, I try to do it before bed.
Oh.
But I run into a problem there. So for those that are unaware, me and Logan are trying to get healthier. And a big part of training of being healthy is drinking water. No, it's it's getting your sleep. It's getting recovery, and that's actually one of the most important parts because you can be eating completely right. You can be working out very, very well, but if you're not recovering, that's where you get the most out of it. So one of the fun things about having a job that doesn't have a set time that you start is your sleep schedule is never set.
Yeah, we're not starting at, even if it was a 9 to 5, you're not starting at 9 every day. You start at, 6:30 or 7 or 10:30, or you have an evening shift, so you don't get home till 9, or let's say, and then bed at 10 or 11. So
that being said, though, it's hard to stay consistent with reading when, for example, I finish at 9, and the next morning I got to get up for a shift that starts at 6.
Yeah.
Or even just a shift that starts at 6, you're doing things throughout the night. You're like, okay, I've still got time. And then as you're winding up down for bed, you're like, oh crap, I wanted to read. And you really do, but sometimes it's just hard to find that motivation when you're like, what? Now, what's the priority here?
Yeah. Especially when you could just talk to people on your phone too. Just go on Instagram and just scroll for 20, 30 minutes, or I don't know, TikTok or Snapchat or for anything, and just scroll. It's so hard, man.
Well, it's funny because
it's also just discipline.
I'm
just lacking discipline and just making excuses. So, I can tell myself I need to get better, but it's actually about doing it.
Yeah, that's where I find that I need the most work with discipline. Is sounds very braggy, but with the gym, once I have a schedule, I can stick to it. But when it comes to stuff like reading or stuff like that, that's with the mental side of it, or not. It's not going to improve performance right away, or you're not going to see results right away. It's over time, and you have to work hard to implement it. I'm very bad with discipline.
That's like meditation as well. I'm very good if I get on a roll with it. I'm very good at consistently doing it. But if I take 1 day off or 2 days off, And it's just a roller coaster. I just up and down. I'll do it for like a week straight, and then I won't do it for like another week. And I know that I don't see like the results, and I can tell I'm like testy, like even at work or I don't know, even at the gym. It's just not the same. Just don't having that 3, 5, or 10 minutes. It's so weird how it affects you so much when you start doing this small like 2, 3, 4 things, like in the sleep, the food, not overeating. You're actually going to the gym, even if you're not having a successful time at the gym, just like actually doing all this stuff, and then you miss out on 1, 2, or 3 things, 4 things, however many it is. It's really crazy that I still miss stuff, and my discipline just lacked. I don't understand how it could be this fucking lazy.
I find that it's I'm the same. First of all, I've been pretty good at meditation, but I have a problem. So I've been, obviously when you get started, you know, that you have the basics to set up.
Like they go through like,
basics.
You have about 30 days more or less worth of
basics just to help you get introduced. My problem is, then it's the same thing as with reading, is it's time. Time is everything.
Which sounds really bad considering it's like 10 minutes
10 minutes.
maximum.
But the problem with the 10 minutes is it's 10 minutes before bed. And the problem with the 10-minute meditation, when it's right before bed, is halfway through, you are almost asleep.
Yep.
And they're like, that's fine. I'm like, well, no, I'm not getting the most out of this.
Yeah.
So then you get to 3 days later, and you're like, well, I haven't really mastered the stuff that they taught 2 days ago. Yeah. So I've been trying to do like 2 or 3 minute meditations. I do a few, like every once in a while I'll do a long one right before bed.
I've been lazy with that. I've just been doing the 3-minute feeling overwhelmed one if it's a really bad day, or a 3-minute breathing one. Those are the best ones for me, because it's simple. It's really simple. It's just focus on your breath for a couple minutes and try not to think of anything else.
Yeah, no,
it's so hard.
Oh, it's so hard. But I notice a difference, right? Even if I'm doing the 3-minute ones compared to when I was doing consistently like the 5 to 10 minute ones that were with the first basics.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it's like I just get so angry at people so quickly. Like I'm at work, and my job is collect cards. It's one of the main parts of my job. But then
Working in retail is fun.
People grab cards to use them, and I'm like, why are you messing up my cards? Like, and it's not their fault.
OCD.
It's not their fault. It's not anyone's fault. It doesn't even matter if I leave them. Not that I leave it. I would leave it a mess. But if it's like there's a few more cards outside that haven't been bought inside at the end of the day, I don't go home and go, oh dang, like no. Whoever's there the next day is gonna clean them up. Yeah. Or if it's me, I'm just gonna clean it up. And it takes an hour tops, especially when you're opening during the week. It doesn't take that long to clean it. But things like that, you know. You're angry about them for no reason. Yeah. I don't think
it helps either that like we can't do too much. Like you can't have anyone in your house if you don't live with them, and then like I don't know, you can't really go and do too much. Like even if you go to I don't know what you can do right now, if it's inside some building, but you have to wear a mask as well, so it takes away that like social aspect. So all that stuff just adds up. And I'm just mad.
And that's just part of it, you know.
Which rotates back to, well, then go meditate and go sleep and all that stuff.
Yeah, but it's a lot easier said than done.
It's easy to complain.
Yeah,
I love to complain.
We are very good at complaining.
Fun.
It's a lot easier to go, oh, this sucks, than go and make changes about it.
Yeah. To fix something rather than just complaining.
Even, I wasn't going to mention this, but I tweaked my back today, and it is terrible. If I had to get up at any point during this podcast, everyone who is watching up to this point would laugh. It's painful to see me, and it's just simple things of like the discipline. During the summer when it was stretching, I was stretching like 2 or 3 times a day, and it was discipline. But then again, I didn't really work out. I kind of lost that. Like I was doing sprint training, but it was like twice a week.
It's rare that
and
happens.
then I was like, oh, like this will make up for it. It doesn't. And then I get back to working out. I'm like, well, just stay on top of your stretching, which seems like very simple. You know, all you have to do is you're just going to the gym an extra hour a day. You just don't change anything except for an hour you're not at the house. You're doing a workout, and you'd think your body would be like, oh, this makes sense. No. So now,
It's like in cycles almost.
Yeah,
like I'll cycle through. Okay, I'm working out consistently, and then I'm not, but I'm stretching, and then I'm not, but I'm reading a whole bunch and meditating, and then back through, and I'm eating great, and then now I'm not, and it's just the human mind makes me so mad.
I find that eating helps me though, and I think you've noticed this with me. When I'm tracking, I'm very weird in the fact that I love to track my food. I think it's...
Well, I do too, but I don't do it to the extent you do.
I think dieting is very easy for me when I'm tracking my food.
But it's also not dieting for you. It's how you eat, because it's just how you are. Because
it's not a diet. It's a way of eating.
Diets don't work.
Diets don't work. No, you heard it here first. And like anyone cares what we think about diets. But no, it's not the diets that work. It's just you have to find a way of eating that keeps you happy, but also keeps you healthy. Which for me is counting my calories and balancing my macros. So for whoever doesn't understand that, that's fine. You don't really need to. You just find whatever makes you happy and you feel is healthy. But I do that because I like to hit specific weights, specific times, and feel certain ways.
Certain ways.
It's funny though, because the way you feel can really be affected by what you're putting in your mouth, which people will laugh. That's dumb. Like, to eat. Which people will laugh because you're like, well, it's whatever. But I'm still eating the stuff I love, but stop it. I'm still eating the stuff I love.
I'm a goddamn child.
I know you are. I'm still eating the stuff that I love. It's just less of it. So as I'm losing weight, I had a real struggle with, hey, Austin, you can't lift as heavy of weights anymore. And I'm like, well, and then I had to kind of be like, well, no, duh.
Well, I remember talking to you at the gym because I was leaving for the gym and you were like halfway through. You did a 2-hour workout. I only did one because I had to go to work or something. And we meet in the hall and you're like, I'm just pissed off because I just can't squat as much. I go, you're squatting 4 reps. Take off some weight and squat 8 or 9 reps and work it that way. And you're just like, well, that's not what I want to do. I don't care if it's what you want to do. You'll see results this way. This is how I saw results faster as I did more reps.
I did it yesterday, and he's right. And also, going back to front squats, that was also good. Because front squats, it's not as much weight.
I can't do front squats, though.
I love front squats.
Like my
wrists are a little sore afterwards, but I love the fact that it makes you...
Have you tried doing, like, this one?
I've done this one. I always feel like the bars I don't have any control of it going forward. When I'm like this, I feel like I can keep it up. Not even. I'm basically have 2 fingers, and my wrist is bent and like that. But
it's funny. I feel like I have to stretch my shoulders before I do that one.
A lot of people do. A lot of people do. Another thing people do is they put a towel around it, so it's like the bars like this, or in this case like this, and you put the towels like that, like wrap it around, small towels.
Okay.
And you hold it like this. And what it does is just allows them to do it without having that mobility. But
that's weird.
Yeah, it's just discipline, which seems to be the theme of the episode so far.
I don't know. I just wanted to talk about like actual stuff of the podcast.
Yeah.
Before, it's very, very easy to get sucked into. Well, I want this to be fun and like exciting and something that people gravitate to because it's full of energy. But
it's not life.
After 5 episodes, like, okay,
what are you talking about? What's new? What's exciting?
Besides just rambling and getting mad at Austin and doing
poking
this
back and forth. Yeah,
like we still do that a lot, but I actually like to talk about some actual things that like I care about.
Like I've tried to avoid health and fitness on this because it's very over talked about, and a lot of influencers will give you opinions that you shouldn't necessarily listen to. Everyone's got an opinion on health and fitness. And that's not necessarily what it's about. It's just, it's a big part of our lives. So
I mean, it's something I want to talk about.
Exactly.
I do this because I want to talk. I just want to talk, and I think that my opinion can sometimes be right, like once every 100 times. And if someone likes watching this, then I
that's
win.
Fine. That's all you really need.
It's a hobby for me, so I'm okay doing this if no one watches. It's something fun for me to do, so that's why I wanted to just switch the angle how we're doing this. Just make things different. Because I mean, I don't know. This is for me.
Yeah, this is really for us. Yeah, for me.
Did you watch the Tyson fight?
I didn't watch it.
I can't remember if you
didn't watch it. I heard about it. Let's talk about the Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson.
Okay, Nate Robinson. This is how I can guarantee this is how his training went. It was he started getting good at hitting pads.
Mm-hmm.
He had probably a sparring partner that took it very easy on him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was full of confidence until about a week or two before the fight. And then he got hit hard by a shot and lost all his confidence whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
He looked scared. Granted, I didn't watch the fight. I watched the highlights.
You can see stuff that he looks scared. Whereas Jake Paul's been in there before, as much as you hate to say it, he has been in there before, and he does kind of know a little bit what he's doing.
I mean, if it's your first fight and it's that big, it's a lot of pressure. But
And there's a lot of pressure.
I mean, that's whatever. I love how Jake Paul has. It makes I love and I hate how Jake Paul can just scream out, "Yeah, I want McGregor next." Like, there's a fucking chance at all.
And even if he does get it, that's the stupidest thing.
No, he's not going to though. Why? It's a lose-lose for Conor. No, it's a lose though, because it's not even that big of a name.
That's a good point.
He'll make more fighting in the UFC than he would for any boxing match that he might do. And he still needs UFC approval for it, so it's not like anything at all. But, God, I hate Jake Paul. I hate Jake Paul.
But main event. What did you think of what did you think of Tyson's performance? Because I heard that I didn't watch it. I don't know if you watched highlights or anything like that.
I watched highlights. It looked like Tyson. I mean, from highlights, it's very. I don't know.
It's very easy to misinterpret the fight.
I think Tyson won, but I mean, doesn't
you never
matter.
know.
As soon as I went on Instagram right after the fight ended, and I was like, "Oh, it's a draw." Of course it is, because guess what? They want your money for another one.
They're gonna do a rematch.
I was like,
you're gonna pay money for it.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, this is rigged," but it's probably not. But you know what? Might be.
Whatever.
I'll throw my tinfoil cap on any day of the week. It might be. But
yeah, it's really easy.
I want Tyson to knock him out so bad.
Yeah, and I think that was a stupid thing to come in with. I know neither of them was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna knock him out," but having the clause that's like, "Hey, you can't knock the other person out."
Well, that was just because
I get it.
It's just because an exhibition.
I
bout.
get it. It's an exhibition bout, but still, like, come on. You don't have headgear on. It's a sport where you hit the body and you hit someone's head, right? If really what they could have done is their defense just blocked the body, because then if the other guy knocks them out, then there's a lot of money gone, right?
Yeah, it's fair enough actually.
Like, you could have been focused on, and you would have probably taken less damage, because the idea is like you tack the body, right, and then they cover that up. You tack the head, tack the body, tack the head, switch it up, do a little like. That's the idea, right? You pick it apart until they have to switch up their defensive style, right?
Yeah.
What's the point if you can't really hit their head?
Yeah. I mean, it was just kind of a clause that the promoters put in, and then the fighters were like, "Fuck you, how about that?" It's weird though how many people got mad that there wasn't a knockout. Like they were like, "Oh, you weren't trying to knock him out or something." I don't know. It's just weird though.
I also feel like if there was that clause, they shouldn't have said anything. Like it shouldn't have been,
because you got everyone mad. But
Yeah,
I mean, also everyone all publicity is good publicity.
Yeah,
I guess
good
too.
point.
I don't know. I mean, also real quick, I just remembered this. Complete 180. It's really hard to cheer for a team that loses all the time. It's really, really hard.
Is this about the Bears?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Logan's had a very tough time.
So I started getting back into football this season. Started up again NFL because there's nothing else to do. I've been a Bears fan since I knew what sports were, because I'm a Chicago fan for everything. Cubs, not White Sox. Go Cubs. And your face. And then
oh yeah,
so
they do have two teams.
They started out 5-1 this year. They're 5-6 now. I hate everything. I hate everything so much.
And say what you said about the QBs, and then say what happened last game.
Better watch it.
Am I wrong? Say it. Say it.
Okay, so we had one quarterback who went, I think it was 2-1 or 3-0 or something like that to start off the season, and then he benched him because that makes sense. And we got this other quarterback who, I don't know, looks dead on the field. He has no emotion whatsoever. we lost a whole bunch. So we throw them in the last game when it's 5-5 after going 5-1. Awesome. And before the game, I told I can't remember.
You told me at the very least.
I told you, but I was like
other people. Yeah.
Yeah. I said Mitch Trubisky's either going to throw 3 interceptions and turn over the ball like 12 times, or he's going to throw 5 touchdowns and it's going to be an amazing game. He fumbled the ball twice. Mm-hmm. He threw 2 interceptions. Mm-hmm. And he missed. If you run a slant, I can hit you with a slant. Mm-hmm. I know it's very easy. Armchair quarterback, easy. I can hit you with a slant.
No, it's one of those things like a 5-yard pass.
I know.
You're getting paid big money and you can't catch that.
No, not even catch that. I hit you. Like, hit you in the vicinity around
here.
No,
I'm comparing it to
like, Jesus Christ. It's so hard to cheer for a team. And I posted on my story before, and I was like, let's go Bears. There was a big speech before the game, and I was like, let's go. We're going to win this one. And we got demolished. Like, the Packers, for the fourth quarter, took it off, and we scored 10 points. And if we didn't do that, it would have been a 30-point blowout instead. What the hell? I just want a good team.
It's rough.
I just want a good team.
It's rough.
I don't know.
Hey, you're going to laugh at me. But it's...
You don't even try and compare it right now.
Yes, I am going to try
Don't try and compare it.
Then you got to hear me out on this, though.
But
right?
It's not the same
but you
at
got to
all.
hear me out of this.
Did you lose 5 games in a row?
No, they lost 2 games in a row, and that never happens, all right? I am unapologetically an All Blacks fan. Canada Rugby is not very high up there in terms of skill. Let's put it that way. But New Zealand Rugby is really good. And in growing up, our mom traveled and lived in New Zealand for a while. They're a well-known team. So when I was first learning about rugby, they were the team that I watched the most.
Plus they're number 1, so it's easy.
Plus they're number 1. They're winning a lot, so it's easy to continue cheering for them.
Yeah.
And they were riding some good, talks about the book I'm reading, their 8-year period where they were so dominant. Won 2 World Cups, hadn't been, in a row, hadn't been done before. And even up until about 2018, they looked really good. And then 2019 came, they looked okay until,
okay.
Ready?
Okay.
They get beat in the semifinals.
It's okay.
Which I understand. England prepared better, and I actually think England is a very strong team now.
It's been over a year, I think.
It's been over a year. Yeah, it has been over a year.
Are you okay with that?
No.
Okay.
But the problem is, they don't look that different, and the teams know how to beat them now. So, and that's coming from me sitting on my couch. And obviously, they're not going to look. They're not going to reveal all their hand. The first season of a 4-year cycle, because it's a 4-year cycle. You build up to the World Cup and then you start over. And sometimes if you're a team, you do an 8-year cycle or a 12-year cycle trying to get your team there. But this 4-year cycle was not off to a great start.
So Austin defends the coach, who is his first game.
I was
defends the coach, and then a couple games later, he wants his head on a stick, and he wants him gone.
Yeah, so
it's amazing.
This is where I'm gonna get yelled at by you. I agree with my first statement, and I was basing him getting fired on raw emotion.
Yep.
So, here's what happened. I still think Ian Foster, as of this moment right now,
the All Blacks
head coach should be given a chance to keep going.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because even though it was a rough year, they still got the results. They kept the Blood as Well Cup, and based off the fact they have 3 bonus points over everyone in that tournament, and doesn't look like unless Australia beats them by crazy, I don't even know how, but basically the All Blacks have the Tri Nations Cup as well. They have a very strong chance of winning it. So, having those two, the 2 trophies, it's like if you were to play for your club, right? Doesn't matter how you play through the season. If it comes to the end and you win the trophies, you're not going to remember how you lost a few games during the season. You remember that you got the trophies.
Right.
However, it's New Zealand rugby, so you're still going to remember that they lost 2 games in a row.
Especially if your name's Austin.
But the problem is, it was back and forth. They had their biggest win over Australia.
Yep.
Then they lost to Australia, lost to Argentina for the first time ever.
Yep.
And then held Argentina to 0 points for the first time ever in a blowout of 38 to nothing. Like,
consistency is key.
Consistency is key. And they are not consistent right now.
Yeah.
But I feel like they just, if he can find a way to keep it up, like I think there's a lot of raw talent that's coming into the team, like Akira Ioane and Will Jordan.
There you go.
Great. Caleb Clark, Hoskins Satutu. Like
sweetie pies.
Just some good young players that are just getting tested and already doing very well. So I feel like if they can develop them, they're going to have a very strong team come the World Cup. Now, why did I get mad at the coach? Because they had lost 2 games in a row, all seemed helpless. So, of course, I was going to be very upset with the coach,
and
given that everybody was pointing
the whole rant circle back around to Bears lost 5 games in a row, therefore it's equal to All Blacks losing 2 games.
Now, basically what I'm saying is it's difficult to watch your team lose.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the same.
It's amazing how we have to be tribal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my week is almost determined whether or not the Bears win or lose. It is for a little bit, and then like I'm fine after a while. But every time it gets brought up, it's sore. But it's so weird. Like, I don't care about anything else. Like, if we watch baseball right now or basketball or whatever, I'd be like, I don't really care too much.
Yeah.
But because I know the sport,
and you have a team. You have a team.
I just I could just choose. I don't know. We're gonna go with. I don't know, like I'm a Chicago Blackhawks fan, but I'm going to cheer for Calgary this year. And then if they lose, I'm sad kind of thing. It almost drives me nuts that can happen, but it does. But whatever. I mean, that's happiness for you. Yeah? I have a question for you, too. That's going to be a great question.
Is this at a 180 again?
No. Yes. No. Maybe.
Go ahead.
What's the difference between happiness and fulfillment? Or what's happiness for you versus fulfillment? What's more important?
This is a bit of a 180.
I just talked about happiness, so I thought, this works now. Because I've been thinking about this. It's like the question that's been like determining my life and trying to figure out like, because for me, happiness could be like money equals happiness, but money doesn't equal fulfillment, kind of thing. Does that make sense? Money can get me happiness. Happiness is, I don't know, minute per minute. I get money, I can buy a cheeseburger, I don't know, whatever, so I have that. But it won't fulfill me later in life or as days go on. That's why you see so many rich people are all upset and everything. Because they have money, which gives them the happiness, but they don't have the fulfillment of actually having something they're passionate about or, I don't know, like a goal in their life. Does that make sense?
This is going to sound kind of weird, but I actually viewed it the opposite way as like fulfillment being like in the moment feeling fulfilled. Versus, and you're actually closer to right. So I think the key difference is you can be truly happy. I mean, you can be truly fulfilled and have moments of unhappiness, and you can be happy for a moment and have moments. And be unfulfilled.
Yeah.
And it comes down to true happiness comes through stuff like your health, your relationships, your job, the goals you work towards.
But do you see what I mean? Like how your job, like where we work right now, there's moments of happiness, but overall there isn't a fulfillment.
Yeah. Whereas like what I was getting to is like you can be happy for a moment, right?
Yeah.
Your team can win, and you can feel happy. You're not fulfilled. Your life isn't fixed from there on out. But
like, my question, was what fulfills you?
Well, that's the big question. Because it's different for every person. Like for me, I like to set big goals. So it would be success with rugby. I'm not going to get into it because I don't need someone, not you, but like certain people. Yeah. Coming and be like, oh, that's your goal. But for me, I've always thought when I would reach that, I'd feel fulfilled. Like that's kind of like in your mind, you're like, this is stupid, but like you're only going to truly be happy with your life once you get there.
But realistically,
no. And that's what's interesting. You see Tyson Fury, boxer. He was like, I'm gonna be truly happy when I become heavyweight champion of the world. And then he became depressed. It took him down. But and also on that, there's a whole series. I can't remember if it's on Prime, HBO Max, or whatever. Specifically on Olympians after their big Olympic moment. Like
it's your whole life been leading up.
How empty they feel. How they have no purpose. Everything is, especially with athletes, you have a purpose, you have a goal, you strive towards it. Once you achieve it, you go on to the next one. Well, what happens once you get to the end?
Does that mean that then that goal, that dream, isn't your fulfillment, and it's something? It has to be something past that then.
I think
because you can't have. Well, you can, but like if I have a fulfillment, or I feel fulfilled if I'm successful in this, and then I get to the success. And it's just happiness because I've been doing okay, but I have this greater goal where it's something else, maybe. Like, it's so deep, man. It's just too deep for me, bro. But like,
no,
it's just something that I really thought about. I've been trying to figure out with the books I've been reading. Because I that's like my statement that I've not lived by, but like that I really think with money. Money can give you happiness, but it doesn't give you fulfillment. So what gives you fulfillment? I include money as in like money, food, girls, cars, all that kind of classic stuff you see. What gives you fulfillment? And I think it's a freaking hard question.
With what gives you, what I would say, being fulfilled is being healthy, constantly looking to improve, being healthy. Accepting of who you are, but also trying to improve constantly. And that's like in the future, my goals with rugby, say I got it, it would be being grateful for being there. I've made it to this level. Or relationships, nice. I have this relationship here, but how can we make it this relationship even better? How can we work on it every single day? Or with rugby, how can I improve? How can I go to the next level? How can I bring others around with me? Like when it comes to, if you have a very successful rugby career, comes time to retire, and I'm just using this as an example.
Yeah.
Comes to retire. How can I bring others around? Like how can I coach? Can I coach? Can I just be supportive? Can I help the administration of like my province or whatever? Like coaching of the organizations. And I think it just comes to.
So for you, your fulfillment is always chasing your maximum.
Yes, and that's why with the gym I sometimes have to check myself, bringing it back, constantly constantly trying to get better. And of course, I'm not going to go out in there and max out every week because I've recognized that's not how you get better.
You don't go up in weight.
No, you don't. However, it's about constantly improving yourself, week to week, and it's not okay. You can do one more rep, but your technique was better, or you added another set, or you took less rest time. So when I can't do that, or I'm struggling to get to what I got the week before, my mind is always like, "Hey, what the hell? This is a bad workout." So the problem with the workout that I was doing,
it's too deep.
We've gotten to this point. I wasn't doing well on squats. So even if I was doing well on leg press, I didn't care. I'd already had a bad start. And then the next exercise sucks and it feels off. And I'm looking for what's wrong in the set, not looking for just concentrating on getting the most out of it. And then when I get to cardio, I'm like, oh, is this even worth it? Or if I'm doing core that day, okay, I don't really have to concentrate, just go through the sets. And then I leave feeling unfulfilled, and then the next day you're like, well, you can't have a repeat of yesterday. So instead of coming in with, hey, let's get the most out of it, it's like, okay, avoid doing bad. So so sometimes I just have to reset myself and be like, hey, you're not always going to be perfect.
God, the brain sucks. Yeah, because for what you just explained, and I agree with it, but fulfillment can cause, fulfillment can cause happiness and sadness at the same time. This is too deep, bro. I ain't made for this. I can't. But I've been trying to, like, I don't know. I go online, I'll search up these stupid questions like fulfillment versus happiness, and what is success to you, or all those kind of things that all those woke people in books will ask you about. And I try to actually ask myself that, and I'll think about it, and it's so hard, man. But I'm too stupid for this kind of stuff.
No, if it had been figured out, like a for sure way of figuring it out, there would be an answer by now. You would be able to search it up and be like, all right, do this, 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 and this. But there is no answer.
Damn.
It's finding your own fulfillment and constantly chasing that fulfillment.
Should we do a question before we got one?
We got one question.
Shout out my boy who gave us one question. And the question was, who's the greatest? I'm pretty sure. Please, if I got this wrong, sorry.
MMA.
The greatest MMA fighter of all time, and then the greatest to step into the octagon.
See, to me, I don't see really a difference.
But there can be. Like I'll throw Fedor Emelianenko into the group.
Yeah,
there.
but then when he was in the octagon, he was.
But he wasn't in the octagon.
Was he not?
Nope.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Point given. I will say something. The GOAT is not John Jones.
Why?
Because
I want to hear because I have kind of a reason and kind of not. I want to hear what you say.
The argument for yes, he hasn't been beaten, right? He hasn't been beaten. He has that one loss from a technicality.
Because he beat up someone too bad.
Yeah. So there's that aspect of it, but there are other undefeated fighters.
Because then, if you go off record, Habib's better.
Yes.
However, Habib hasn't been fighting championship fights for the past 10 years.
And then you look at some of his competition.
So
I am going to go out on a limb and say, no, actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, I was going to say George St. Pierre.
Attaboy. Attaboy.
And it's because he was a true martial artist.
Classic answer. Sorry.
No, and a lot of people didn't like that he wasn't knocking people out or like being so violent, but you know, that's not the way he fought. He fought points, he fought smart, and
but he beat everyone.
He beat everyone. You can't say he didn't win. Well,
Johnny Hendricks. He lost to Johnny Hendricks.
But okay, let's put him against Johnny Hendricks now, see who wins.
Johnny Hendricks eating cheeseburger. I ain't got time for that.
I ain't got time for that.
Because for me, it's a couple. I don't have one specific because if we're going, because I want to say something like John Jones, but his PED fails.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that's another thing I was going to
You could say, oh well, they were for the dick pills and all this stuff, but also surprisingly, he always failed his test when he fought DC. You could say whatever you want with that, and we can go down the rabbit hole. But his toughest competition, which wasn't technically because he did beat him twice, but whatever,
was DC.
The DC, and he failed both times for that. And he just, I don't know. When you throw PEDs in there, do you take him out of the conversation? I think if he, like, I don't know, because I want to throw him in there because he has been fighting championship fights since he's 23, and he's like 32 now. And then George St. Pierre, of course, is another one. Mm-hmm. He's top 3 for sure. I don't know. And then, but I also want to throw Anderson Silva in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
That man was unbelievable.
But also, then when he wasn't in his prime,
and then PEDs,
he wasn't in his prime,
and PEDs.
Of course, we have to mention the bad guy, Chael Sonnen.
Chael Sonnen's a goat.
Definitely up there.
Chael Sonnen's a goat. Oh, yeah. Artem Lobov. Sorry, I'm sorry, I forgot about the King. Sorry,
Real King. Motivated McGregor.
Motivated McGregor's always a classic.
Always a classic.
But one person I think might be the GOAT, but I don't know. It's tough. A GOAT of one weight division. Like lots of these people have fought in a couple of weight divisions. Mm-hmm. GOAT of one weight division is Demetrius Johnson.
I was actually going to ask you.
I think
he did do very well.
He's going to 135. He lost to Dominic Cruz, but if you're talking about one division only, I think he's the GOAT through one division.
Do you want me to throw a name out that I just thought of that I think is definitely going to...
Okay, go for it.
Amanda Nunes.
Fair. Yeah. But then again, has her competition been the kind of insane competition where you look at, like, I don't know, let's go Demetrius Johnson, like even his fighters nowadays you don't remember because no one cared about flyweight division, but let's go George St. Pierre and who he fought versus Amanda Nunes and who she fought and the records that they had and the
Well,
competition.
they don't
that
look
went
that
there.
good because every time they go up against the champ, it's not close.
Mm-hmm.
They get mauled. They get beat.
Yeah.
Murdered.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just think about that.
You definitely have to throw. She's for sure the female GOAT. You could throw her in there for probably one of the GOATs as well.
Yeah, greatest of all time, yeah.
But there's always the asterisk with it for me because her competition, some of the people, it's like they win 1 or 2 fights and then they get the challenge for the top or for the title. Whereas in some weight divisions, Leon Edwards has won 8, 9 fights in a row. He has to fight Hamzat so he stays in the rankings. And even that's going
turning down everything.
I know, but like you see what I mean? Like you in the men's divisions, it's just because the women's divisions are still growing. It's still a new aspect, new portion of the sport. But like, so Amanda Nunes does it for another 2, 3, 4 years. Definitely add her into the conversation. But I mean, I go probably Anderson Silva without PEDs is probably my go. Or George St. Pierre.
Fair enough.
Before PED and stuff. But I don't know, man.
One last name before we stop. Dominic Cruz. No. It's worth throwing him into the mix because he was very dominant when he was dominant. He had 2 comebacks that you can't forget about.
He's an all-time great, but he's not the GOAT.
He's not the greatest of all time, but he is definitely up there as a great fighter.
No, he's not the greatest of all time, but he's...
I just wanted to see what your opinion was.
No.
No.
Ben Askren's also probably the GOAT as well. That man's done it all.
Sean O'Malley as well.
Definitely. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We appreciate you watching. If you did watch all of this,
please let us know what you guys thought about this episode. If you want us to go back to more funny stuff, we can find a way of doing that. Or probably not because it's our broadcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, please let us know what you guys think.